The HOA fined me for my doorbell chime, so I replaced it with an air raid siren. 2 seconds later, every dog in the neighborhood howled like the apocalypse was coming, and Karen, our HOA president, fell off her ladder in pure terror. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about a doorbell anymore. This was war. It all started with a letter. Not even in an envelope, just a single laminated sheet jammed into my mailbox like a threat. At the top, in bold all caps, Times New Roman, it said, "Auditory nuisance violation." I stared at it, squinting in the morning sunlight, half convinced it was a prank. But it wasn't. It was signed by Carol Johnson, the self-proclaimed president, judge, and executioner of our suburban HOA. The woman across the street who trims her grass with scissors and has matching beige visors for every season. According to her letter, my doorbell was non-standard and theatrical. My doorbell. The same little 3-second 8-bit jingle from The Legend of Zelda. Quiet, nostalgic, harmless. I'm an audio engineer. I work with sound for a living. I know decibels like most people know coffee orders. That chime barely reached 40 dB. You couldn't hear it past my porch. But apparently Carol could, and she'd been logging every time someone rang at UPS Girl Scouts the pizza guy. There was a literal spreadsheet of my deliveries down to the minute. I remember staring at it thinking, she's not running an HOA, she's running surveillance. I figured, okay, misunderstanding. I'm new here, she's intense. I'll just go talk to her neighbor to neighbor. So I crossed the street, letter in hand, and there she is on her knees in her yard, snipping individual blades of grass with a ruler and tiny silver shears. I swear I thought she was performing surgery on her lawn. Hey, Carol, I said. She held up a finger. One moment. Then she rose slow and stiff like a vampire waking from a nap. "Mr. Henderson," she said flatly. I showed her the letter and laughed. "I think there's been a mix-up. There's no way you can hear my doorbell from here." She tilted her head. "I don't hear it," she said. "I perceive it. It's a high-frequency puncture in the neighborhood's sound profile." I blinked. "The neighborhood's sound profile." "Correct," she said proudly. "We maintain an ambient balance, rustling trees, approved wind chimes, standard doorbells. Your bleep bloop bloop is whimsical. Whimsy leads to chaos, and chaos leads to property value decline." I wanted to laugh, but something in her icy stare stopped me. She was dead serious. "You have 48 hours to comply," she added, then turned back to measuring her grass. Conversation over. I walked home fuming. "Fine," I told my cat Buster. "She wants standard, I'll give her standard." I dug through my storage and found the original builder-grade doorbell from 1992, a big beige hunk of plastic that buzzed like a dying mosquito. I wired it up, pressed the button, and holy hell, it was awful. A metallic scream that could melt brain cells. Perfect. For 2 glorious days I basked in compliance. The mailman buzzed it, the Amazon guy buzzed it, I buzzed it just for fun. Every time that awful sound tore through the air, I saw Carol's blinds twitch. Sweet legal revenge. Then came the second letter. Another laminated masterpiece. While no longer theatrical, it read, "Your new device exceeds acceptable decibel limits and violated the quiet hours ordinance at 7:02 a.m. I checked my security footage. The mailman had rung it once. That was her evidence. My theatric chime was too weird. My standard chime was too loud. I was stuck in a sound-based catch-22, so I marched across the street again. She was out front polishing her mailbox with disinfectant wipes. "This is insane," I said, waving the letter. "You told me to get a standard chime." "It's aggressive," she said coolly. "It assaults the auditory senses." "I didn't even ring it," the mailman did. "Then disable it," she said, smiling thinly. "We prefer a knock-only neighborhood." She turned away before I could reply. I stood there, fists trembling, feeling the kind of rage that doesn't shout, it simmers. That night I snipped the wires and printed a sign. "Doorbell broken. Please knock." And that's when my real nightmare began. Apparently delivery drivers don't knock, they pound. The UPS guy slapped my door like he was breaking into a bank. The Amazon drivers used both fists, rapid fire. The pizza kid, he used his whole forearm. Every knock was a mini heart attack. Buster hid under the bed permanently. Then came letter number 3. Final notice. Carol claimed the knocking caused low-frequency vibrations that were cracking her ceramic swan collection, and apparently not having a functional doorbell was itself a violation of Bylaw 12A. Quiet was illegal. Noise was illegal. No doorbell was illegal. I was trapped in a sound paradox. I stood on my porch reading that ridiculous letter and looked across the street. There she was in her window staring right at me. No shame, no fear, just that smug look that said, "I own you." And something in me shifted. The frustration dissolved, replaced by clarity. If she wanted a fully operational signaling device, she was going to get one. So I went to my studio, opened my sound library, and typed one word, siren. Not a police siren, not an ambulance. I wanted power, history, fear. Then I found it. Air Raid Siren UK Vintage 24-bit WAV. A genuine Wooder 2 alert, the kind of sound that makes your DNA vibrate. Wow-woo. I ordered 2 massive outdoor PA speakers, the kind used at football stadiums, plus a 2,000-watt amplifier. When the electrician arrived, a guy named Sal, I told him, "We're installing a doorbell." He looked at the amp, then the speakers, then me. "Buddy, that's not a doorbell. That's a rock concert. Call it neighborhood safety enhancement," I said. Sal grinned when he saw Carol's beige fortress across the street. "You mean that lady?" "Oh, I know her. She tried to fine me for leaking antifreeze. You're my hero, man." We spent hours mounting the speakers under the eaves angled perfectly toward Carol's house. Sal tightened the last bolt, stepped back, and said, "She's the final boss. Good luck, soldier." By the time he left, the trap was set. I just needed someone to press the button. I texted my friend Dave. "Come by. I owe you $20. Ring the doorbell when you get here." 15 minutes later, I watched from the window. Carol was outside polishing her windows like usual. Dave parked, walked up, saw the doorbell broken sign, shrugged, and pressed the button. What happened next was biblical. The ground shook before I even heard it. A deep rising whoop that punched me in the chest. Then the full scream hit a bone-rattling wail that filled the entire street. My windows trembled, water rippled in Buster's bowl, and every dog in a 6-block radius began howling. Dave dropped to his knees on my porch, clutching his chest, laughing hysterically. Birds exploded out of the trees. Somewhere a car alarm joined the chaos. And Carol. Oh, Carol. She was on her ladder mid-polish when the siren hit. She shrieked, flung her bottle of Windex into the air, and tumbled backward into her bushes. Then she crawled behind her mailbox, scanning the sky like she was in Saving Private Ryan. The siren cut off after 2.5 seconds. Silence fell except for the dogs and one distant alarm. Dave looked up at me, gasping between laughs. "Bro, my phone thought I was in a car crash." I was wheezing from laughter myself when I saw Carol march inside, face-red, phone clutched in hand. "Uh-oh," I muttered. 10 minutes later, a police cruiser rolled up. No sirens, thankfully. 2 officers got out, one older guy named Miller, who looked like he'd seen everything, and a younger one, Diaz, who looked like he hadn't. Carol met them halfway down her lawn, shouting, "He's terrorizing us!" It was an air raid. "Arrest him," Miller sighed. "Let's go talk to him." I greeted them calmly on my porch, hands in my pockets. "Officers," I said, "that wasn't an air raid siren. It was my doorbell." Miller blinked. "Your doorbell?" "Yes, sir. You see, my HOA president here has fined me for every version I've installed." I handed him the 3 laminated letters like a deck of cursed Pokemon cards. Too whimsical, too loud, too silent. The bylaws require a fully operational signaling device, so I complied vigorously. Diaz snorted. Miller glared at him, then turned back to me. "Sir, you can't just have an air raid siren for a doorbell." "Actually, I can," I said, pulling out another sheet. City Noise Ordinance 33B only restricts continuous noise above 90 decibels. My doorbell lasts 2.5 seconds, intermittent, perfectly legal. Miller rubbed his temples. Carol sputtered behind him, vibrating with fury. "It's harassment. It's psychological warfare," Ma'am Miller said wearily, technically. "He's not breaking any law. It's an HOA issue. Please stop calling 911 for doorbells." Carol's face went crimson. She turned on her heel and stormed home, slamming the door so hard her precious swans probably cracked for real this time. A few days later, the whole saga exploded on the neighborhood Facebook group. Teenagers started ding-dong ditching my house just to hear the siren. Carol's blinds stayed shut tight. Then came the announcement. Emergency HOA meeting. Sunday 2 p.m., community pool. When I showed up, the crowd wasn't looking at me, they were looking at Carol. One by one, neighbors stood up. You tried to find my son for playing basketball. You measured my hedges with a tape measure. You said my wind chimes were non-compliant. It was a mutiny. After 2 hours of public roasting, someone called for a vote. All in favor of removing Carol Johnson as HOA president. Every single hand went up, including mine. Every. And just like that, the Beige Queen fell. A week later, peace returned. The new HOA president stopped by, polite but exhausted. "Mark," he said, "we're throwing out all of Carol's sound bylaws. Just please consider a new doorbell. My cat still thinks the world's ending." I grinned. "You got it." The next morning, the Amazon driver hesitated at my door. Is it safe?" he asked, finger hovering over the button. "Go for it, man." He pressed it. A gentle, cheerful 8-bit Zelda jingle chimed through the house. He laughed in relief. "That's actually pretty cool." Across the street, Carol's blinds remained closed. The air was calm again. And for the first time in weeks, Buster came out from under the bed. Some wars end with treaties. Ours ended with a doorbell. Lesson learned. When petty power goes too far, sometimes the only language it understands is volume.